Hey guys, Motorcarnut here, and today we're going to be replacing the brake pads in the rear of a 2011 Volkswagen Tiguan. This one has the electronic parking brake, so I'm going to show you how you got to put the piston back in. It's a little bit different than the conventional one, but you can do it with a few little tools. You'll be okay. All right, like I said, this is 2011, but it applies to 2009 up. I don't know how far up it goes, maybe to 2018. But definitely from 2009 to 2014. Okay, so first thing you're going to do is take the wheel off. If you have wheel locks, make sure you have your wheel lock before you start the job, unless you won't be able to get the lugs off. This one doesn't have it. These are 17 millimeter. You just, take the wheel off. And a lot of times you have those plastic caps on here. It looks like it has a hole. You just put like a little pick in there and pull them out, and then you're going to see the bolts exposed. Now, this is just for the brake pads. These rotors, your rotors look like this. I would replace them with all this rust. All right, so I'm going to probably replace them, but this video is about just doing the brakes. So just make believe this rotor is in better condition. All right, you're going to take off the caliper over here, 13 millimeter, and over here, 13 millimeter. All right, you're just going to get a screwdriver and pry it off. And that's what I'm going to do right now. Like I said before, you can't just get a C-clamp and push this piston in, because normally I would do it with a scan tool. It automatically does it, but you probably, you probably don't have a scan tool, so that's okay. We're going to take this little electric motor off. It's basically a little motor that spins, so when you hit the emergency parking brake, it locks the rotor electrical instead of with a handbrake. All right, and over here, you just take these are bad. Hopefully yours are not like this, They're gonna come off. That used to be a brake pad. That one there, and this one. All right. And take the hardware off too. It comes right off. Clean this up a little bit with a wire brush, both top and bottom. And this is what the new pads look compared to the old ones. Big difference. All right. And make sure it has the backing plate. They usually come. The reason for this is that if you didn't have this or you don't install it, you're going to get a brake squeal. All right. And you put the new hardware on and don't grease them. Okay, there's no need to grease them, because grease attracts dirt and grease on the brakes is no good. Like I said, just clean these up, and we just install the brake hardware the same way. You see this? This one goes up like this one, and it's basically the same thing for both of them, top and bottom. You put it on that, like that, and you squeeze them down on both sides, makes it nice and flush. I'm going to do that. We're going to put the pads on. But before we do that, let me back up a step. Over here, you have your slide pins. You see these? All right. These are good. They're fine. You can always check, make sure the grease is fine in there, or you can clean them out. See, this one is still okay. You just take the boot out, take the pin out, and clean it and re-grease them, put them back in. After you do that, you just put them in their slots. See? This goes on this slot over here and over here. So basically down and like that. You see that? And that's how they go, like that. And now we're going to concentrate on this. And over here we have electrical connector. You know how to take these connectors off if you watch my videos. All right, it's you put a little screwdriver in here and you twist it, but don't twist it too much. You see this little tab in here? It releases, okay? And then this little tab up here, it releases that so it slides out the plug. And over here, we have a Torx 30, like this. You see these two screws, one here. And one there. We're gonna take those out. And after that, you look for a place to pry up and remove it, like so. I don't want it to fall, because the brake line, you always support the brake line, so I'm just going to take it out. It's just gonna put the screwdriver here, and it's just going to come right out. And basically, that's what it looks like. this comes off, you just move it out of the way. And what we're gonna do now is we're gonna screw this back in, all right, so we can push the piston back in. Because when you hit the parking brake, that you hear that noise, it's spinning this, and it comes out, and it puts pressure on the rotor, all right? So now, it doesn't retract all the way in. It only retracts as far as the brake pads are wearing down. So you don't lose your brake pedal. Your brake pedal doesn't start to sink as the brakes wear in. So it's all electronic over here. All right. So now we're going to put this. All right. You see this? All right. This part's face me. In the back here, where we're going to screw it clockwise. All right. So if this was a clock, clockwise is this way. Okay. And now to do that, you're going to need, this is probably the most specialty tool, so to speak. It's a spline drive, but you can try to do it. It's not that hard. It's just, it turns. You can turn it by hand. This is an 8mm spline drive, you know, the triple square. Or like I said, you could probably use, if you have any star bits, you know, Torx bits, you can see if you can get one of them to move in there. Like I said, you're not stripping nothing out, you're doing this by hand. All right, basically I just turned it around, make it a little easier, okay? So you just put this in there like this. Maybe you can even use a screwdriver or something. You just don't want to, you know, like I said, it just turns by hand. See that? And we just turn it clockwise all the way until it seats. And these pads are worn, so it's a lot. And it's gonna stop. There we go. That's it. Once you feel it bottom out, that's it. Now we're done. Now we're gonna take a C-clamp, put it here and here, be careful, and slightly bring the piston all the way in. You know, you little pressure at a time, like so. You see, you put it on like that, and then you just turn it. Okay. You go slow. Give it a chance for the fluid to go back up into the master cylinder. You go slow. See how I'm turning it? Go nice and slow. If it binds for some reason or it doesn't want to go in, you have to make sure that you did it clockwise. And if not, it could be that the piston is seized and then you're going to need a new caliper, and that's a different video. Okay, I'm going to screw this all back in and then I'll come back. And then it should look like this when you're done. All the way in, flat. Now you got plenty of room to put it on the fresh pads that have a lot more meat on them. All right, and now what we're going to do is we're going to put the electric motor back on and tighten up those screws. Okay, and when you put it on, just wiggle it a little. Just make sure it seats up good. If you wanted to clean it around and there's an O-ring in there, you want to put a little lubricant on it, that's fine. And you just tighten the bolts evenly. Just make sure it's the same way you took it off. It's not binding or nothing, but it usually goes right in. That spline, you just wiggle it a little bit and it goes right in. All right, and we can put the connector on later. So now we're just going to slide it, the whole thing, like this, and just make sure over here you put the 13mm there, and on the bottom you put the other 13mm and put the plug in. And then after you do that, these bolts over here, you torque them to 20 foot-pounds. Okay, and then after this, everything is going to be loose. All right, so what you're going to do, you have to go in the car and hit the brake pedal, press it all the way to the floor. Don't start the car, press it all the way to the floor. It's going to go all the way to the floor, and then it's going to build up, and it's going to feel like a rock. And then once it's like a rock, you just push it a couple more times. You're really fast with your foot. All right, and then you start the car, because if you don't do that and you go to put the car and drive that and you hit the brakes just once, all right, the car can still roll because we just push the piston in, and the piston, when you hit the brakes, the piston has to squeeze back and adjust to the new pads. That's a safety tip. And another thing, if you're not comfortable doing brakes, or this is the first time you're doing anything mechanical, I don't recommend doing brakes. Brakes are serious. I mean, you change your air filter and you forget to put it in, no big deal. You do something wrong with the brakes, you can get into an accident. Unless you feel comfortable, all right, don't do it. All right, guys, and that's basically it. You put the tire back on, and you're good to go. The fronts are a little bit different. I'm going to do a video on the fronts. And this one I'm going to take back off and put brand new rotors on it. But that's about it. All right, guys, Motorcarnut, please subscribe, hit that like button. Any questions pertaining to the video, leave them below. I answer all my questions and try to get everybody on the road. And if you learned something, I appreciate a donation to the channel. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you very much for watching.